Well, God, we come as your children. We want to be like sponges. We want to be like the little ones. And you told us that if we want to make it to heaven, we must become like these little children. And I think part of that is because they are so to hear your word, absorb your word, and accept your word. Make it so in our lives. Through Jesus, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. I told you last week that as we start looking at our youth movement and our thing, and with all the kids that God has blessed us with, that every child that walks into this sanctuary should have more parents and grandparents than they can count. We all need to be youth workers. We don't need to hire one youth director. We all need to be the people that change the lives of those that God entrusts to us. And I was thinking about that this week, about this teaching and children and how they absorb things. And in my last church, we did a Thanksgiving Day meal on Thanksgiving. We did a lunch. A bunch of our parishioners gave up their Thanksgiving and came and had it there with the folks, and it was for the people that had no family. It wasn't so much for those that couldn't eat anyplace else, and they were accepted too, but there's a lot of folks out there, and especially we were surrounded by some elderly houses, and there were a lot of folks that had no place to go. They had nobody to spend that holiday. So we put it on for them. Some of the best times I ever had. But one thing happened one time that really struck me. This became pretty widely known in the community at Crestline, and we had people that, like even the Catholic Church, and I don't say that badly, but they have to do some kind of community service or something to get their full catechism or whatever it is they call it there. But their kids would come help us serve and clean up that meal for those points. People that we didn't even know would bring food. And I remember this one Thanksgiving, this grandmother came in with her 10-year-old granddaughter with a sweet potato pie. That's pretty good. I might just a little sliver. And they didn't stay, they just brought it in, and the night before they had made some pies, and they made an extra one so they could bring it to that meal to feed other people that would not have Thanksgiving. They just dropped it off, said hi, and then they turned around and left to go to their family gathering. But I got to looking at that, even back then it struck me, I see a Christian witness in that pie. Now stop and think about it for just a moment. The grandmother took the time to get the ingredients and then to teach her granddaughter how to make that pie. But where I see the Christian witness is the fact that what lesson did that grandmother show to that 10-year-old girl about sharing, about outreach, about compassion, about helping others? I have to believe that she was setting the stage for that little girl to grow up doing random acts of kindness instead of random acts of violence. That little girl learned at a very early age that she's supposed to show love to others instead of hate, all because of what Grandma did. You didn't know you had that much pressure resting on your shoulders, did you, Grandma? I go to various meetings, and I have for years. And I listen to the people complain because nobody's stepping up to fill the positions as people leave and die. And we've actually seen organizations in this community die out like the Wise. Used to be a very strong and active group, and they did things, and they raised money for kids that couldn't afford to join the Y, and just all kinds of things. And if I'm not hearing about that, I'm hearing about how that the younger generation doesn't donate to causes like used to happen. And I listen to all that, and it comes back to this reality. You never taught them. You never taught them. I remember one time at that same other church. Well, I can't even find my right notes. We could be in trouble. Doesn't matter, I'm following now. They were trying to get, where's Dixie Lee? Pay attention to this one.
Yes, sir.
The United Methodist women couldn't figure out why they couldn't get none of the younger women to come in and join. I told them, number one, you have your meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning, and guess what? Most of the women you're trying to attract are either working or taking care of kids at that time. That's why they don't come to your meetings. And then I challenged them, and you have to make it relevant to them. Because here's what I saw. God rest her soul, she passed away last year. Got a couple of younger ladies that came in to help with the dinner. And by the time they left there, they had received about a 45-minute lecture from that one old lady about how the forks go into this floor and this angle. God forgive me, I used to sneak down in the kitchen after that and move forks to the spoons and spoons to the knives. I know I'm a bad boy. But you see where we're failing in some of this? Now, she told them how to do it right, but maybe she went a little overboard. Because shouldn't we have been teaching those younger ladies what a joy it is to serve? And then we have to put into all of that that children are like sponges. They start learning and absorbing information from the very beginning. Their images that we put before them, the lessons that we put in their paths are what they learn. Whenever I'm doing premarital counseling, I tell the young couple, are you planning children? And if you do, remember, children learn what they see, not what you tell them. Children learn what you model, not what you preach. It's a harsh reality, isn't it? But it's true. What they absorb controls how they live. What their attitudes and actions towards themselves and others will be is by what they see. And look at what they're bombarded with. In their homes, in their schools, in the community, on their video games, on their movies, and in their music. What do they see? They see graphic violence, they see drugs and alcohol, they see rampant sex, and it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal if it gets you ahead, and the list goes on and on and on. We have begun to teach our children that the golden rule doesn't say do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It says do unto them before they do unto you. That's the message they're growing up with. Not because we put it to them in those words, but that's what they see. Y'all got really quiet today. Aren't you glad I'm back? So my question for you is what are we doing to combat this? What are we doing to influence our youth? If we know all that and we don't like it, why aren't we using the absorption rate of our children's young minds to pass on different lessons and values? There's a national statistic, that most people that find Jesus Christ do it before the age of 13. There's a sweet window. The highest rate of when young people or when anybody finds Jesus is between the ages of 5 and 13. You get above 13 and the rates go way down. Way down. So what are we doing to fill that sweet spot with the gospel? If we want our youth to grow up and have morals and ethics and everything else, what are we doing to instill that in them? We have to quit worrying about the fact that there's no longer prayer in school. And ask ourselves, why isn't there prayer in our houses? Teachers aren't getting paid or educated to teach my kids how to pray. That's my job. That's your job. And this is where I could really get in trouble and say something along the effect of, have you seen some of the teachers? Do you really want them teaching your kids about Jesus? God, Lord. That was a joke, teachers. Don't send me any letters or postcards. But isn't that our job? I'm thinking that prayer and discipleship is not on the state testing, is it? It's our job. That's not only our parents, our job as parents, that's the church's job. To help them do that. Every time you baptize a child in this church, you all take the same oath. Don't you? I promise to help the parents raise that child to know the faith and the story of Jesus Christ. That just paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what you're doing. So you've all called this week somebody that we baptized and you haven't seen since we baptized them, right? No? Okay. So you didn't, the oath you took to God wasn't real. You had your fingers crossed. If we don't like the way our children are turning out, I need to tell you this, it's up to us to change it. And not only is it up to us to change it, we're commanded. We are commanded. It is a biblical principle to pass on the stories of faith to our youngsters. It isn't a when you get time. It isn't if you feel like it. We are commanded in this book in numerous places to do that. Our faith story started out that way. Moses wrote the book of Genesis. I'm guessing Moses wasn't there and watched God do the creation in Adam and Eve. All of that had been passed down from generation to generation by oral history until Moses finally thought, I'm going to write 4 more books. I need the one to start it and get to that. And what he wrote, he didn't just sit around and dream up. It was what had been passed down through all the generations. And that's what we find we're supposed to do in this morning's text. Oh, my people, listen to my instructions. Open your ears to what I'm saying. For I will speak to you in parables. I will teach you hidden lessons from our past, stories we have heard and known, stories our ancestors handed down to us. We will not hide these truths from our children. The sounds of a church that will live. I like it when I hear that. We'll tell the next generation about the glorious deeds of the Lord and His power and His mighty wonders. Where He issued His laws to Jacob, He gave His instructions to Israel. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children so the next generation might know them. Even the children not yet born. And they, in turn, will teach their little children. So each generation should set its hope anew on God, not forgetting His glorious miracles and obeying His commands. Then they will not be like their ancestors, stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God. I'm jumping like 3 pages now. Did you get it? Did you get it? We are supposed to pass our faith down. When you get it, you don't don't get to keep it. You don't get to sit on it. You don't get to go, I got my salvation, so I'm just going to warm a pew for the rest of my life. That's not what it says. My question for you after I examine the kids today is, why aren't more of you teachers? Or don't you know the stories either? Are you disciples, or are you just here because that's what you always do on Sunday morning? Or maybe you just like to watch me pick on Karen. I don't know. Kind of fun, but it would get old. You're supposed to pass it on. God says, I'll give it to you, and then you have to give it to others. Stories our ancestors handed down to us. You ever notice the greatest sermon ever preached was by Peter on Pentecost Sunday? If you go back and look at that story, he starts with their history. With the history of the Jewish people. He doesn't say anything about here's what's happening today. He takes them all the way back and walks them from the past and all the stories they know up to Jesus. We sometimes think the Old Testament's irrelevant, but I got news for you. It's not. It leads to Jesus. Every one of those stories brings us to our faith. Tells us what God can do. Tells us that miracles were going on long before He sent His Son for salvation. And we're supposed to be teaching those stories. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children, so the next generation might know that. Catch this. Even the children not yet born. As we go through this next stage of phase 2 and the capital funds and all that, that's what you're doing. Somebody did it for you, did they not? This church was built long before anybody still here was alive. It's our duty. And I don't think that's too strong a word, to make sure that Michaela's unborn child will grow up knowing those stories. If not, I'm holding Gary personally responsible. It's our job. Our job is to make sure the church continues to grow and thrive and survive and never loses its focus. That we are here to tell people the good news. And that starts with all those kids that you see down here on Sunday morning. Even with only half of them here on a holiday weekend, you got more kids than most churches would die for. What are we going to do with them? I don't want to just give them candy. I want to give them Jesus. I want to give them Jesus. And I hope that I'm preaching loud enough that Michaela's unborn child can hear me right now. It's our job. Your duty. That's your command. In that Bible. It doesn't go away. It doesn't change. And we're never going to lose sight of it. It's up to us to do it. How can a child know love if all they see is hate? No good if all they see is evil? No peace if all they see is violence? No purity and abstinence if all they ever see is promiscuity? No compassion if all they ever see is contempt? They will only absorb what they're exposed to. So, what are they absorbing amongst you at your house? It's up to our generation to teach them. And while we're teaching them the stories, they need to know. And it's their job to pass it on to the others. If I've done my job right, I won't have to preach to my great-grandchild, because my grandchild will do it for me. Our kids need to know more about Jesus than they do SpongeBob SquarePants. Our kids need to know that Easter is about a cross, not about a rabbit. Our kids need to know that the present that they need to worry about isn't the one of the tree, it's the one that came from heaven. And we're the ones that get to teach them. Our kids. Our kids. When I say our, I don't just mean the ones that are related to me by blood. I mean all the ones that God has sent here to us. Need to get a Bible and somebody to read it to them long before they get an iPad. Are we in this obligation as the Church of Jesus? Have we done all in our power to teach the next generation of our God? Done all we can to reach out to the youth in our community? Have we done to make the gospel available to them? How can we give them Jesus? There's an old saying that if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for life. I want to give you a new variation of that today to live by. Cleon, I just saw him. I just saw you here. Welcome. Pray for a child. I'm sorry, that's squirrel thing. And they'll be better for a day. Teach them to pray. And they'll feel better and have hope for a lifetime. Give them Jesus, and they'll be okay forever. You might be going fishing.